are no objective standards which regard visibility, percentage, spacing, or any type of design. Because of that ambiguity, I made a good faith determination that the overall design of the frontage would meet the intent of the ordinance. Specifically, there is a 13-foot driveway opening that provides clear, unobstructed visibility from the fence to the property and vice versa. In practice, that opening functions as an open visual corridor and prevents the frontage of being closed off or visually obstructed. My understanding of the ordinance intent is to preserve visibility, safety, and neighborhood compatibility along the street frontage. I believe the fence, when considered as a whole, including the driveway opening, meets that intent. I would also like to address safety and privacy considerations. This property is a duplex, and there's a regular pedestrian traffic along the sidewalk, not always orderly, including late at night. Prior to zoning notice being issued, I was in the process of planning to install a more transparent, see-through metal-style gate at the driveway opening in an effort to remain compliant with the ordinance as I understood it to be. Once the violation was issued, I halted any gate construction in order to avoid further alleged noncompliance while this matter was being addressed. During that period, before any gate can be installed, an individual entered my property and stole my downstairs tenant's vehicle during the late evening and early morning hours. That incident reinforced the need for reasonable security measures at this location. Also, due to my job as a detective with the police department, I was aware of information that most people in the area were not. Without giving away too much detail or compromising an ongoing investigation, a group of individuals were known to be staying in the close vicinity of my property and were responsible for hundreds of vehicle break-ins throughout the entire county. They were also in possession of firearms during the course of these criminal activities. Additionally, due to my job duties as an operational detective, I occasionally work in sensitive assignments and operate an unmarked vehicle. Limiting visibility into the property helps reduce the likelihood of that vehicle being identified or associated with my residence. This is a general safety and risk mitigation consideration, not a claim of any specific threat, though multiple dead animals were observed and appeared to be thrown on my property in the early months of the purchase, when no fence was present at that time. Being a landlord and a business owner, my sole safety by itself at home is no longer my only responsibility. It is my responsibility to make sure my tenants feel safe in their residence, and when someone's vehicle is stolen out of their own driveway, that wouldn't make anybody feel safe, and I'm sure everyone here could agree to that statement. I'm not disputing enforcement or staff's role in interpreting the ordinance. My appeal is based solely on the fact that the ordinance does not contain a definition of open fence, and that reasonable interpretations can differ in the absence of unclear standards. For that reason, I respectfully request approval of the administrative appeal to allow the existing fence to remain. I believe granting the appeal would acknowledge the ambiguity in the ordinance, recognize good faith compliance, and would not set a negative precedent, particularly as staff has indicated that in future clarification of the ordinance may be pursued.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I've got to open up a public hearing at this time and see if there's anybody here that wants to speak about this item. I don't see anybody, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Now this is time for the board to have any discussion if they have any questions for Mr. Thomas.
Before there's any discussion, I've got a couple of questions. Mr. Thomas, did you seek the advice of anybody from planning and zoning before you erected this fence?
I did.
You did?
I did.
And what was their reply?
We had agreed on a more concept that seemed to fit somebody else's interpretation of an open style fence.
Who'd you speak with?
Mr. McCormick. And I went ahead and installed that, and the windstorm took it out, and then those things kind of started setting in my mind, so I built that one with the 13-foot gap due to the ambiguity of the ordinance, because I read it after that, and there was no set in stone standards of what constituted open versus solid. And Mr. McCormick couldn't tell me what was open versus solid, just an interpretation.
Well, I would have to let Mr. McCormick speak on that. So you had a fence that got blown down,
Yes, sir.
and then you chose to build a 6-foot solid wall fence. And you were given the advice of Mr. McCormick that that was okay to do?
He did not tell me that the second fence that I built was okay. We
Okay.
talked about the first
I
fence.
just wanted to I anticipated that answer. I guess my thought is, and usually the reasonable interpretation of something is what an ordinary person would think open means and solid means. What do you interpret an open fence to be?
Well, if you look up open fence or you look up definitions or anything, there's all sorts. There's visibility, there's something that I read that says it allows light to go through the individual planks, which when the planks shrunk after, there's light that goes through it. They also, some people said that there's percentages that have to be deemed as open versus not open, meaning a 13-foot gap in the fence. So there's really ambiguity across of what a definition is over everybody.
Well, we're talking about the fence, not the entrance and the exit or the ingress and egress to and from. If there was such an ambiguity, I guess my thinking is, and you being inquiring about it, at that point in time, why was there not a subsequent inquiry with Mr. McCormick to say, I want to build this solid wooden 6-foot fence in my front yard? And I think I may be in compliance with it being open, even though clearly the fence is not open, but I've got this open gate.
Well, we had talked about originally me putting a solid gate with the other fence that I had, and he said that that was okay. So I figured that opening up the gate portion and making the gate more open would kind of suffice. If the fence was more of a solid look, but the gate was open, and that still constitutes a fence. There's really nothing. There's also nothing in the ordinance that says that the opening cannot count as a driveway entrance. I mean, it's still part of the fence. It lines up. So I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm really not. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to understand that. I mean, I don't have any hard. I don't think most people have had an issue with the definition of an open fence that's come before this board, or that have built fences, and what a solid fence is. I mean, those are two pretty basic words. I guess my thought is clearly you can't see through this fence, and it's 6 feet tall, and it's in your front yard.
I mean, you can see through it, maybe not from the road, but if you went up to it, there's gaps in between each board. They're just not very large. So again, we're in the.
Were they engineered spaces, or is they just because of shrinkage of the wood?
I didn't build it, so I don't know that answer.
I didn't know if they put a peg between every board and said, we gotta have an 1/8 inch between these boards.
Well, I don't know. I didn't build it, yeah. I built the first one, which is probably why it blew down. So, yeah.
Well. All right, could we look back at the fence again, Adam? That's a side view, right?
I was just looking,
Oh, there it is, okay.
I was taking it from my phone, so it don't have great capacity to get a good, what he was saying about the gaps and stuff. But you can, if you drive down there and see, I've drove by there several times, you can see light through there in those gaps. But it's,
I have nothing further to ask or to clarify.
Adam, you said that the specifications for a fence like this, even in the front yard, would be 4 foot, and this is 6?
it's correct, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to address this as a first responder, okay?
Okay.
2 foot's quite a bit.
Well, it
With a 13-foot opening, if you have a fire in that residence, that's a nightmare. I mean, to get everything that you've got to get through, and I'm talking hoses, equipment, such, you've got to go through a 13-foot opening. And I know it's only 2 foot,
Well-
but 2 foot when you're hoisting stuff over a fence like that is a lot.
Well, if fire is the problem, then the ordinance needs to be changed to not have a fence in the front at all. Because you're saying that I can have a fence in the front, but I can't have a fence that's higher than 4 feet and solid, but I can still, so the fence, like, what you're saying is kind of, it doesn't make sense to me, because even if it's 4 feet, you can't get a fire, if you're saying you can't get a fire truck through there, you can't get a fire truck through. So the entire ordinance needs to be changed at that point, like the entire thing. So.
I agree with Russell that, it's not that's a solid fence. I mean,
According to who, sir? According to who? There's nothing in, like, I go to court for work every day. If there is any ambiguity with the law, it can't be enforced. It has to be black and white.
Well, this isn't a criminal case, this is a civil case, and these are reasonable standard interpretations and definitions of what solid and open is. What would a reasonable person interpret that fence to be, open or solid? And those are pretty basic words. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand why you built it. But I think it meets the definition of a solid fence under our ordinance. And that's all I'm not a voting member of this board. I'm just interpreting what the ordinance would say, giving these gentlemen advice.
Well, interpretation is why we're here. Interpretation is why we're here. A solid fence is not defined, an open fence is not defined. That's open to me, that's a 13-foot gap. That means you can see inside of the property. So the problem why we're here is because of interpretation of the ordinance that's written. The ordinance does not state solid versus open. It says open fence needs to be X amount of feet tall, or solid fence needs to be X amount of feet tall. There's a 13-foot opening. That constitutes, in my opinion, in my interpretation of the ordinance, as an open style fence. So it's not, we aren't here to determine what we're here to determine is the ordinance is not clear. And that's what I am under the impression of why we are here.
Well,
Chairman may want to speak as to that.
yeah, we're here on your appeal. We're not here to rewrite the ordinance. I mean, right now, we have to look at the ordinance and then base that appeal on the ordinance. And right now, it is not vague that a solid fence has to be 4 feet, not 6. I mean, whether or not we're going to argue whether that's open face or that's solid, that's not for us to interpret the ordinance in that way. I mean, we have to look at what it says, and it says 4 feet, and that is 6. So, I mean, that's all I'm going to say about it. I mean, I'm a reasonable person. That's solid. I mean, you say, oh, we can kind of look, or there's a sliver or whatever. That's a solid fence.
Sliver, that's 13 feet.
It
You
doesn't
can
say
see
anything
inside,
in
you
the
can-
ordinance about a driveway, 13 feet here, 13 feet there. That's not what it says. It says the fencing is either open style, which you can see through, or it's solid.
Well, if we're talking about what you can see through it. It might not look like it in that picture, but if you went up there, you can see through. Again, we're in the ambiguity of this again. Open versus solid is not defined.
But we're not here to rewrite the ordinance right now. So I'm just going to say that I believe that needs to be 4 feet.
Okay, so what do I have to do now? What do I need to do to make this correct? What constitute? I guess now's the time you guys can tell me what constitutes an open fence. What constitutes an open fence?
Be one you can see through.
You can see through.
One that you see through, like a chain link.
So
or
you would
a
rather
wrought
have
iron.
you guys would rather have a chain link fence in front of there that's going to rust and look terrible.
I didn't say that. I answered your question. What constitutes open face or open style?
Okay, then
That's all.
it needs to say in the ordinance, chain link fence constitutes open, and it does not. So that's what the issue is that we're having here. You guys are violating me on something, but it's not clearly defined. I'm really not trying to be difficult. I'm just trying to understand. No one else is here. So I'd also like to know who complained, because they're not here. Because that's why I was told that we're here because of a complaint. And no one's here even, so they clearly don't care.
I don't know who complained, or it could have been city officials that went through and saw it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think the statute, regardless whether it's open or whether it's solid, it can't be 6 feet tall in the front yard, correct, Adam?
It can
It
be
can be
6.
6 foot,
It
yeah.
has to be open,
If it's open, okay.
whatever.
It's open.
Again, no.
I mean,
I guess,
whatever y'all need to do, the city needs to do to get together and talk about the ordinance and rewrite the ordinance, that's not for us. We just have to look at what we have in front of us, what we're seeing, and then base the appeal on that, whether we deny it or we approve it.
do you understand why I built the fence? Do you understand why I have the fence built?
Like I said, I'm a very reasonable person. Yes, I totally understand why, and the traffic. I mean, I went by there twice today, so I get it. But we have to look at what we have right now written.
Which is ambiguous.
That's your opinion.
Okay, well. I'm not really sure what happens from here, so.
Well, they'll make a vote, and we'll, because there's not been a motion or anything, so.
So, any other discussion? All right, well, I will take a motion.
I'm gonna make a motion to deny the administrative appeal request.
I'll second that motion.
Well, can you base it on?
Yes, the
ordinance.
fact that it is a 6-foot solid fence.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Is there anything else on the agenda?
Not on the
Anything discussion?
agenda, I know that Russell handed out the ethics, city's ethics, just for y'all to be aware about it, but, as far as the fence, I mean, my interpretation will be, if maybe they can look at taking some of the slats out to be more open look. That's kind of what we talked about before. That'd be,
Yeah, I mean, I feel your pain because you paid for a 6-foot solid fence, but it probably can be retrofitted to be in compliance, and Adam would certainly help you with
I
that.
think that'd be better than trying to cut it down, because the way the top is on it, I'm afraid that would weaken the fence. And it's a quality construction, but I would think the goal would be maybe move some of the,
What, are you talking about making the slats overlap kind of thing so you can see through it?
or maybe remove some, or whittle them down some, make it where it's more
Yeah.
visible.
I can honestly say I went by there today as well, and I saw a couple vehicles, the tops like you see here, I don't think they're in the same position, but I couldn't tell what they are.
That's kind of the way I want it. I don't want people to know what I drive. I work in undercover capacity. I'm glad there's nobody here because I didn't want to talk about that with anybody else here, but I work in undercover capacity. I don't want people recognizing my vehicle. And like I said, there's people down there on Dry Creek, hundreds of vehicle break-ins, pointing guns at people, shooting at people. You know, I mean, there's an LPR. You guys have a license plate reader on Altaloma Road, so you guys are aware, you know that it's not a great area right now, but it's up and coming, which is why I purchased the property. Just trying to be safe and make sure that everybody else is safe that lives with me and pays me to live there.
I totally understand, and I appreciate your service. I really do.
Thank you.
But I mean, like I said, we have to look at what the ordinance says, and I don't know if somebody could cut 2 feet off and then stabilize it like it is now, but.
Well, now, okay, so now you guys are trying to make me cut it down to 4 feet. See, like,
We're
Well-
talking about it, but I mean, it's up to you, like, I can't give you an opinion as to like, oh, this is what you need to do or what. I mean,
I understand. I was told when I first started, or inquiring about this, what an open fence constituted. I said, can I do wood? He said, yes, you can do wood or chain link. It has to be open. I said, okay. So now you're telling me that you guys can't really define what open is either because you can't help me you can't give me an opinion on how to fix it. So it's, you're trying to tell me I gotta cut it down to 4 feet now. So.
well, that's what the ordinance says.
for a solid fence, but how can I fix it to make it be open to fit is what I'm trying to say. So, because if I cut the top off, Adam kind of touched on it, the framework of it's gonna get messed up, it's not gonna be as strong, so can you guys at least work with me on that?
Yeah, I would think,
I think you
I
need
would
to
think
talk to
opening the
Adam.
gaps between the fence, I think that might be your easiest way.
Yeah, I think you would have to talk to Adam, and then you just have to go through the process and see what you can do to make it.
Is there a gate on it?
I'm sorry?
Is there a gate?
No, sir, not yet. I stalled all construction when I got the violation notice.
Okay, to me, there's a difference in gate and fencing, okay? And I just wondered if you had a gate there as well.
No, I
didn't
would
see
like
one when I
one.
went by.
I would like a gate, just because of what happened. I mean, somebody literally walked 60 feet from the road and stole my tenant's car. So I would like to have some more privacy in there. I mean, I have to keep a rifle in my truck, you know, because I'm on call. I got to keep a rifle in my truck. So I really don't want anybody in my yard.
And that'd be, if we're looking at, because the goal is for him to alter the fence to make it in compliance, because if he wants to keep the fence, I would think that'd be kind of like we talked about before, there were horizontal slats, and they kind of left everyone open, kind of that look, but for more visibility, that's I guess what we'll shoot for, so.
Well, I guess, and what Russell said earlier, to me, it would be at the front of the house, and you'd have to come down 4 feet on the sides and then in the front as well. Is that what we're saying?
Well, the primary thing was the front, like where the visibility along, not the loam in there.
But I mean, is that what the ordinance says, though? It basically, you have the footage between the house and the road, right?
Yeah, but the visibility was the
Would
front
be
is
the
here.
front. I see what you're saying. And I have empathy for the fact that you've had trouble there. I really do, but,
Well, both of us did. The city of Goodlettsville had trouble, and I had trouble. I mean, all they have to do, if like, because you guys are trying to expand Goodlettsville. I mean, you're doing the mall. You know, that's going to happen. You guys are trying to bring money in here. You're trying to bring people. I understand. And you know, let's say, I mean, luckily they decided to renew their lease, but let's say they didn't, and they went on out and they're like, "Don't come to Goodlettsville. I got my car stolen out of my driveway." I mean, that's problems for both of us. People aren't going to want to rent the property, and they're not going to want to come and spend their money in Goodlettsville. So that's kind of the way I look at it. You know, it's just. You got people walking around, and unfortunately, you know, it's a city, so it happens, but you got people walking around with malintent. I mean, the guy was responsible, that got caught, was responsible for, like, I think the cop told me 60% of the crime in Goodlettsville. And he was arrested in Bowling Green in my tenant's Jeep with meth. So it's like, you know, all my tenant has to do is go in there and be like, "Hey, don't come to Goodlettsville, this guy stole my Jeep and he had methamphetamine in the car," and then it just looks bad on everybody. Nobody wants to rent my property, and then nobody wants to come, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm just trying to avoid these issues, because these people are walking around. It's just the reality we live in, unfortunately. You know, you can't get rid of that, but you can take measures to, like, try to mitigate it as best you can. And that's really all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I
Some
think
options,
just
so.
talk to Adam, see if y'all can come up with something.
Okay.
And like I said, I mean, I have empathy for you too. I mean, we just have to look at what's written right now and what's going on, and I mean, that's pretty much the point of this appeal. But if you can talk to Adam, maybe y'all can work something out. If it needs to be rewritten, I mean, that's something that.
I mean, that's
the
an
city
option
should do,
too. You
but-
could request a zoning ordinance amendment.
Yeah, but that's all we can do right now. I mean, we can argue this all night, but, you know, like I said, I would just suggest, you know, talk to Adam.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, Adam, anything else? All right, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
Get a jog